going on, good peoples? I like doing these a lot. It takes a different tone, you know what I mean? From usually I'll drive and listen to something like a podcast or something like that. But I like doing these because it lets me express my thoughts. And as I'm expressing my thoughts, I get to clear my mind because like I get things out. You know what I mean? Also, it distracts me from things I don't feel like thinking about, bills and everything of that nature. But good morning, good morning. How's everybody feeling? I'm hoping to build a nice community. And what I mean by that is build a nice space where people look forward to these things, you know what I'm saying, in the morning. I did one Saturday, but it wasn't busy, so I figured maybe because everybody's still sleeping, maybe they work more on weekdays, you know what I mean, because everybody's going to work, getting ready, gotta wake up early, get the kids ready for school and whatnot. So things of that nature make sense for people to wake up early and be like, all right, this guy's on live, let me get my little earful of it and whatnot. What do you call it? I know a lot of people haven't come in yet. I've noticed that if you're on already and I don't see you and I don't acknowledge you or something, I apologize, but I've been noticing that YouTube like sometimes doesn't show me everybody or it delays it. Because there's times when I get off, like for example, one time I was on and it said, I saw like 20 people on that I could see. But when I got off, it said like 100 attended. And I was like, 100? I didn't see 100 people. But then I started looking through the schematics and the analytics. And I did notice that many people was on, but I didn't notice it while I was doing it. There's a car abandoned on the road. Every time I see a car abandoned on the road, I do a little prayer for it. Like religiously. Because you never really know what happened to that car. You know, you don't know if it got into a car accident. And even if nothing major happened to that car, it could have just been the car stopped working. It sucks, you know what I mean? I hope that person got home safe. I hope that person didn't suffer a lot. I hope it wasn't somebody that wasn't capable of handling the situation. And again, let me say this correctly. I'm not saying that woman can't handle it. I'm just saying, you know, like a small woman or something that's not very familiar, or any person not very familiar with changing a tire, so to say. Which I myself am not that familiar. I'm familiar with it, but not familiar with it. And stuff of that nature. But yeah, man, the secret society of kind people, the secret society of gamers, which I consider the kindest people on the planet. Again, if you're already on, it's not showing me anything at the moment. So I apologize if I'm rambling, trying to let a few people come on before we get to the true topic. You know, it's funny, a topic I want to touch on, referring to kind people. And I was having this conversation with a friend of mine who's a therapist. And I was anxious to bring this conversation forward. But the topic I want to touch on is Grand Theft Auto. All of them, you know. Whichever Grand Theft Auto you was introduced to and whichever one you play to this day. And shed light on a positive aspect of Grand Theft Auto. Well, not a positive aspect of the game, which I guess playing the game is fun, so that's the positive aspect to a certain degree. But something positive that I started acknowledging and taking away from it, along with other games as well. But Grand Theft Auto is an interesting topic to touch on with this thing I'm trying to say. There's a lot of cars on the road today. Well, I guess it's Monday. You know, drink some coffee. You know what's funny? I must have good speakers in my car because a friend of mine, every time I talk to him on the phone and I sip my coffee, he starts laughing. Says that he can hear every single sound I make that sound like a horse drinking water when I drink my coffee. And I started laughing because I was like, Jesus, like you could hear me slurping the coffee. I barely hear it, and it comes right in front of my face. Man, so much traffic. I wonder what city has the least traffic. And I'm sure I can find small cities that don't have much traffic. I mean, like a busy city. I wonder what busy city has the least traffic in the morning. Because New York has a lot of traffic. New York has a lot of traffic. You know? But yeah, a game topic I wanted to touch on was Grand Theft Auto. Let me turn over to this lane real quick before I get into it. 1 second, peoples. Your boy trying to be safe, not be out here. I don't like living dangerous on the highway. The highway is a place that I don't like playing on at all, to be totally honest with you. Because people already can't drive. But yeah, a topic I want to touch on, and I guess if people come in, I'll reiterate it, but Grand Theft Auto, right? Excuse me. So what I've noticed about gamers and playing games, and like I said, I was having this conversation with a therapist. What I've noticed is, as gamers, when we're playing a game, right? And I'm sure a lot of you notice this too, or if you don't notice it when I say it, you're gonna be like, yeah, you're right. What I've noticed is playing games. You've been playing a game, right? You're playing the game and you're playing boom, 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 boom. You're going through the whole mission. And then at the ending of the game, you're faced with a situation. You're faced with an ultimatum, a choice, decision. And they're like, do this and this will happen, or do this and this will happen. Like one is like a good ending and one is a bad ending. And not a bad, but I'm referring to the bad ending like you as the character make a selfish decision. So you benefit yourself. Bad ending. I don't mean bad ending like, oh, you didn't get the best ending. I mean, you got the villain version of an ending for yourself, which is still a good ending, but that's what you chose. And what I've noticed a lot in those situations is, as gamers, this is how you know gamers are kind people, deep inside. As gamers, 9 out of 10 times, we always choose the good ending, right? Now, yeah, I know there's some people that pick the bad ending. Or if you're like me, I picked the good ending, but I really want to know what would have happened. So I'll go and play the whole game again. Or just, if they let me start from like the ending point, at a checkpoint. And I'll do it again because I want to see what happened on the flip side. You know what I mean? Which is pretty funny. So I thought that idea was interesting as far as gamers go, because even in the game, we have a conscience. You know what I mean? And we're like, hold up, I don't want to do that to these people. I don't want to burn the village down to become the king. Hold on a second, people. Like, I'm trying to do this lane switch, and they're not letting me today. Usually this lane is always empty, but today this lane is just jam-packed. I'm like, wow, it's interesting how packed this lane is today. And it's more interesting how many people are not letting me get over. That's more interesting. They just like, nope, here I go. They let me. Thank you, peoples. Thank you. But yeah, so I thought it was interesting at how, as gamers, we always want to pick the good ending. And then we'll go back and revisit the game part to see the bad ending or the villain arc ending. Very rare I pick the villain ending first. I guess it's also not only a conscious thing to be a kind person, which I'm sure plays a big part, but I'm sure that a big part of it is if y'all on, it's not showing me. So I'm sorry, I hate that it's doing. It's not showing me that people are on. It shows like 2 people. So if y'all on, comment or something, it could pop up or something, or get the thing going, because it's not showing me it. So I apologize if people are talking or saying something and the whole thing is not showing me something. But what I've noticed is people want to make the good decision. So then I started thinking deeper into that, right? And like I said earlier, I was talking to a friend of mine who's a therapist. And she brought up a very interesting point that made me counteractive. I was like, she brought up that Grand Theft Auto is a bad influence on people. And I got quiet for a second and was like, Grand Theft Auto is a bad influence on people? And that made me laugh, because I'm like, you know how many things are really bad influence on people? I mean, really a bad influence, like really manipulative, bad influence. And I don't put Grand Theft Auto up there with that. Grand Theft Auto don't even come up to me in a conversation of bad things that manipulate people. Grand Theft Auto is a game of choices. You can, in some cases, truly just become who you want to be in Grand Theft Auto. And the difference between Grand Theft Auto and other games, this is why I say it's interesting, and this is why I was being combative towards the therapist. Yeah, Grand Theft Auto, 9 out of 10 times you're doing like villainous things, right? Killing people in the street, shooting people down. Hold on a second, who's bothering me now? 1 second. Okay, I'm back. I was just checking my email. But yeah, you do villainous things in Grand Theft Auto. Okay. But Grand Theft Auto, if you really think about it, Grand Theft Auto is people just playing the game and really tapping into the curiosity of just going crazy. I'm doing wild things, right, in a game. People don't get on Grand, at least to my knowledge, at least to my theory. For example, myself. When I play games like Grand Theft Auto, I'm not doing the things I'm doing in the game because in real life I want to do that. It has nothing to do with that. It's really just like, yo, this is crazy. You know what I mean? It's like I'm doing like a fantasy world idea of something crazy. Like I'm gonna shoot all these people in the street until the cops come and see how much of a shootout, how long I can last in a shootout with the police. In a game like Grand Theft Auto, right? Don't do nothing like that in real life. I'm referring to Grand Theft Auto and an imaginary subject. But it's crazy, because you go into the game like, yeah, I'm gonna do this. Oh, and you playing and you see other gamers and you're like, and you blast them down. I don't really feel like people are like, yeah, this is what I want to do for real. You know? I really feel like it's just like watching an action movie. When you watch an action movie, you got a person like hypothetically like John Wick, and he come in the game. Yeah, granted, he has a reason for banging on everybody because they killed his dog and they keep messing with him. But you got a character like John Wick and he just busting everybody down. Now, do a flip side of that. Let's say John Wick was the villain, right? You still want to watch the movie, but not watch it like, yeah, we rooting for the villain. You watching the movie in the sense of like, man, this is crazy. It's like you're just feeding an adventurous thought. You're just feeding, even if you want to say you're feeding a villainous thought, a villainous fantasy. Not saying that doesn't mean that the person playing the game wants to do that in real life. Because myself, everything I do in the game, especially bad activities, I never wanted to accomplish them in real life. I never wanted to do this and create chaos and violence. I never wanted to get in the car and go shooting crazy at the cops and stuff like that. I never once wanted to do that. I never once has the game influenced me to want to do that. Never. Like, not once have I been like, yeah, I think I want to go to war with it. I think I'm going to just go out. No. You know? Now, people that want to do that, I'm sorry that you feel like that. I hope that maybe in these talks, something will click and you'll be like, man, I shouldn't do that. And some people can seek help to stop them thoughts or seek something to make sure they don't go through with these thoughts and fight temptation to do bad things. But yeah, you know, like, my point is, it's kind of funny how people will categorize a game like Grand Theft Auto like a really bad thing. But to me, games like Grand Theft Auto are the most therapeutic than a lot of games. You know, Grand Theft Auto is, in some cases, mindless fun. And people frown upon mindless fun. My meter is telling me that only one person is in, but the way the thing is going, I feel like there's more, but whatever. But it's like mindless fun. And what I mean by mindless fun, I don't mean like you silly or you dumb or something like that. I mean, like, there's times as humans that we need to turn off our brain. And when we say turn off, we don't mean like a caveman. We mean like just put it on autopilot, relax, and really just focus on what's in front of you and enjoy what's in front of you. Like if you was playing Grand Theft Auto. Like if you was playing any game, really. But if you're playing Grand Theft Auto and you're just relaxing, and when you say, when we as gamers say, I just play the game and turn my brain off, we don't turn it off. If anything, the brain goes into full-blown activate mode because the game requires a lot of thinking, a lot of strategic moments, a lot of planning, moving around, instincts, quick reflexes. It requires a lot. If you think about it, as far as a thought process, playing the game requires more attention than real life. You know what I mean? The only difference between playing the game and real life is the fact that the consequences in the game are just digital. It's just, you know, it's just fun. It's just, the consequences are resettable. You can go back and do them again, or not do that if you die in the game. In real life, you can't, which is the reason you shouldn't do what you're doing in the game in real life. You know, but what I'm trying to say is the amount of attention you got to give a game, like when you're playing a game that you can free roam like Grand Theft Auto, it's probably more attention than real life. When you're driving to work or you're driving somewhere, you want to pay attention to the road and where you're going. And 9 out of 10 times, you know where you're going. So it's like second nature to drive to the destination you're going to. You know what I mean? So, but in the game, a lot of times the destination you're going to, you've never been there. So you're driving to your destination, paying attention to landmarks and everything, and sometimes you're being chased by somebody, or you start noticing things, or sometimes activities take place in between the game while you're trying to get to your destination, so it requires your thoughts to go crazy. Then when you get to your destination, you got to prep and do all these things. So sometimes when playing the game requires more attention than you give at a job or something. But people don't give it credit like that. People look at it like, oh, this is a game, you're just playing dumb stuff. You know what I mean? But yeah, so I consider games like Grand Theft Auto to be some of the most therapeutic things you could do. I mean, there's people, right, including myself, there's people that go to work or go about their daily life, and the entire day, the only thing they're really thinking about is going home and playing the game. The entire day, that's all they're thinking about, going home playing the game. I think about that a lot. The reason I bring that up is that's therapeutic. You have something that you're looking forward to from the minute you wake up. You got something that's keeping you motivated through your day. You're like, I gotta do these things and get these things out the way. I gotta do my job, blah, 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 blah. So I can get home and enjoy the fruits of my labor, so to say. And especially now, back then, playing the game was just the system and the TV. That's it. Nowadays, everybody has like an ambiance with it. You know, they got the system, the TV, neon lights. If you're like myself, you got a specific like cup or bowl next to you while you play the game for your food and your drink. We be streaming now, so we be talking to people, having fun, be playing the game, talking to people in the game, talking to people in the chat. Your background be nice. You got your figures, your collectibles and things in the background. There's people that create a room for gaming, like a whole room. You know what I'm saying? So if you think about it, gaming has become probably one of the most therapeutic things you could do. And people don't give it enough credit. I also think it's funny that, I think this is funny too. Therapists, with all the knowledge they have on the human brain and how things work, they never recommend games. Never. Now, let me take that back. I don't want to say never, but I've never seen a situation where a therapist recommended a game for a person. Not once. Ever. Seen a therapist recommend a game for somebody. If they did, and you're somebody like that, put in the chat, you know, like, comment, subscribe, if you can, please, and put in the chat a situation where you heard of or happened to you when the therapist recommended the game to you. Because that's kind of cool. That's a good therapist. And some people might think that the therapist needs to be a gamer. Not necessarily. You know, they look into everything else. A lot of times, therapists recommend medication and things of that nature and remedies they've never done. They looked into it, they study it, they understand it, and therefore they can recommend it. They can prescribe it. You know what I'm saying? So, this guy better not bump into me. So, yeah, it's just crazy. Like, therapists over there got, do this, you should blah, 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 blah. Sometimes, something as simple as, hey, do you game? And then not only that, games have such an extensive, redonkulous amount of subject. Like, there's different games, different genres of games. I mean, you got action games, adventure games, puzzle games. I mean, sheesh. You even got cooking games. Games where you cook. Literally cook. And I'm not just talking about Cooking Mama. There's a lot of games. There's even a game out there called I Am Bread, where you're a slice of bread. And I mean, in its own weird way, that can be therapeutic. You look at a slice of bread, trying to do whatever it is, get toasted, I don't know, or prevent yourself from getting toasted. That's pretty funny. And, yeah, there's so many things in the gaming world that can assist people and help people and motivate people. Maybe I should have been a therapist. And I got this theory where I always tell people, I think that everybody that's bored or frustrated or depressed, the first thing I always ask them, Not this. This is not for everybody. So please, don't kill me. Don't ridicule me. But I always ask people, do you got a gaming system or do you play games? And they always say no. Always. Which is intriguing to me. Because it's like, wow, the answer's always no. When a person said, when I ask a person with like issues in their life and or like mental, you know, they mentally depressed. Every time I ask them, yeah, you play games? They always say no. Always. And that's wild to me. Again, if y'all on the chat, it's not showing it to me. I need to find out why or fix that or something. But I promise you, it's not. If you're commenting or you see something, I'm not ignoring you. It's not showing it to me. But yeah. Every time I ask somebody that's depressed, down, frustrated, whatever, going through something, one of my first questions, I don't open the conversation with it, but one of my questions up front is, do you play games? And they always say no. Always. Which is pretty intriguing to me, that they always say no. Because it's like, why don't you? And then they'd be like, oh, I'm not really into games like that. That's blah, 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 blah. Like, that's funny for a person to say, I'm not really into games like that. Because I'll ask them, what was the last game you played? Sometimes they say I never play games. And sometimes they'll say something crazy like, oh, I played Mario and Sonic. And maybe a little bit younger people will say something like, I played Nintendo Switch or something, or that last gaming system I owned was a PS2, it was a PS3. And now I asked them, when you owned it, when you played Mario, Sonic, PS2, PS3, whatever, from your recollection, did you enjoy it at that time? They always say, yeah, it was fun, but I just couldn't get into it. Like, it was fun, but you couldn't get into it. I don't even know what that means. If something's fun, I'm getting into it. But not only that, it's like, if you haven't tried it, or you haven't given it a real chance, why did you write it off? And why is it that people will go try something they never tried, knowing they're not going to like it, but they'll go try it. But they won't play the game. That's wild. But I want to touch more on this subject later. I'm reaching my destination. I appreciate y'all. And we're going to talk a little later. But comment, subscribe, like, let me know what y'all think.